Namaste viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. in Douala. It's time for the news. We thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories tonight: circulation was completely obstructed for several hours in Tongolo, Quartier Presidential, a neighborhood in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. This was after a fatal road accident which took away the lives of 2 persons. Onlookers or eyewitnesses are putting the blame on municipal police agents who tried to stop the bike transporting the 2 victims. We will be bringing to you details of what happened in Tongolo in this edition of the news. And business people at the Idea Central Market are on strike. They complain their shops were sealed by local authorities for some reasons they termed unfounded. The traders say despite the poor and dirty environment in which they operate, they are always up to date with tax payments. Those are our major stories. Details when we come. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. In Yaoundé, a fatal road accident provoked social tension in the nation's political capital today following the death of a bike rider and his passenger. Inhabitants are accusing the council agents of causing the accident due to the clash they had with the deceased bike rider. It happened in Tongolo, precisely at Quartier Presidential. Immaculate Fogwe recounts to us the circumstances that led to the death of the victims. Well, we will be coming to sad incident. That would be in this edition of the news later on. Now over to Idea. Traders at the Idea Central Market say despite the numerous taxes they pay to the council, they continue to operate in a market that is gradually wearing out. Tuesday, April 17, that was yesterday, they staged a protest demonstration to the city mayor's office, Emmanuel Len, following the sealing of their shops without prior notice. Let's now have more with Mala Glory.
Expressing frustration and disappointment, traders from the Idea Central Market marched to the city mayor's office seeking redress after their shops were sealed by the city council on Tuesday, April 17. There's a process to be respected when it comes to sealing people's shops. You don't seal someone's shop in their absence. That's why we are here to see the mayor to ask questions, because for example, I was not informed. The traders have said that the market is in dire need of reconstruction, citing outdated structures, perforated zinc and a deteriorating roof that leaks, leaving their goods vulnerable to rain and sun damage. They emphasize enduring hardship due to these conditions.
C'est la malgérance du marché. Le marché n'est pas en paix. Chaque jour, ils sont au marché. La salubrité est au marché. Les impôts sont au marché.
It is mismanagement of the market. We are not at peace here. Every day we see all those tax collectors in the market, each coming with their own law. And today we got to the market when our shops were all sealed. We are not happy because we are treated like animals. I, for one, my shop is deteriorating with damaged roofs. Most of my things are bad due to the rains, and yet they want us to continue paying taxes when they can't fix our shops. However, the city mayor has said that the non-payment of rents by the traders is a contributing factor. In an off-camera statement, the city mayor, Emmanuel Len, assured a meeting with traders on Thursday, April 19, to address their grievances and devise lasting solutions.
And now, after meeting with security forces in the Northwest region, the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General René-Claude Zemeka, visited Douala for an evaluation meeting with regional military officers. This was to strengthen security measures and ensure the safety of the local population of the littoral region ahead of the National Day celebration, which comes up on May 20. Lucy Liengu is here, has more.
to reinforce security in the city of Douala ahead of the 52nd edition of the National Day. Top military officials, headed by Major General René Claude Maker, Chief of Defense Staff, united at the 2nd Joint Military Region for a vital operational control and security assessment meeting.
Savoir comment les directives stratégiques sont implémentées dans la conduite et la planification des opérations sur le terrain.
In a closed-door session, the military officers discussed on the different military strategies to implement so as to attain their objectives for the first phase of the operational and control mission.
Appréciable et très apprécié, le calme de notre zone de responsabilité, le rythme du retour à la normale dans les parties qui ont connu la crise.
The security forces were reminded to
Par contre, je peux vous indiquer également
pay attention to some illegal activities happening on the Cameroon border, such as human bone trafficking,
la frontière.
and also to ensure the safety of the population.
Pardon, il y a des activités.
However, at the end of the working visit, challenges faced and recommendations on new strategies to implement were tabled by the regional military officers to their hierarchy. After Douala, Major General René Claude will be heading to Boya in the southwest region for a similar exercise.
And now let's come back to this fatal road accident in Yaoundé, which provoked social tension in the nation's political capital that was following the death of a bike rider and his passenger. Inhabitants of Tongolo, where the accident happened, are accusing the council agents of causing the accident due to the clash they had with the deceased bike rider. Immaculate Fogwe now recounts to us the circumstances that led to the death of those two people.
A motorcycle rider and his passenger lying in their own pool of blood on the road leading to the presidency of the Republic and 200 meters away from the Yaoundé 1 Council. Both of them got crushed by a heavy-duty truck after a heated argument between the bike rider and a council agent. The bike rider reportedly denied paying the total amount demanded by agents from the tax recovery department. The bike rider was stopped by the council agent and the agent asked him to give the sum of 10,000 francs, but the biker proposed 5,000 francs, which he denied. While trying to escape, the biker and his passenger got crushed by a heavy-duty truck. News of the incident sparked a wave of violent protest amongst residents of Yaoundé 1. They blocked circulation while denouncing cases of extortion and harassment, which they claim to often face in the hands of council agents. 2 persons have died because of their carelessness and greed. They need to be careful with those they recruit as council agents. There is a way of handling such cases. It is clear proof that they are not well trained. While on the accident scene, the divisional officer of the Mfundi division, Manuel Jigdat, called for calm while assuring residents that those concerned will be punished accordingly. They left their houses to go get their daily bread. Now they are dead. Be rest assured that the government did not send these council agents to the road to kill road users. We are deeply concerned. We promise taking stringent measures to avoid such from reoccurring. You all need to stop giving bribes to these agents. Residents call for new reforms within the municipal system that will ensure that council agents are equipped with the necessary skills before being sent on the field. Both corpses have been deposited at the mortuary.
In other news, the Cameroon Bar President Barrister Mba Eric Mbar has said the organizing committee of the bar exams braved so many challenges partially caused by the sharp increase in the number of candidates this year. This has been attributed to the fact that the bar pupillage examinations has not been organized for the past 10 years. Barrister Mba Eric Mbar was responding to questions of our reporter Babula Jonathan. He compiled more in this report.
The 2024 Cameroon Bar examinations were characterized by delay, qualified by some candidates as extremely long, running into late hours of the night. We went finding out from authorities of the bar what caused the delay.
They have never organized any bar exams and ended before 1 a.m. In 2003, when we wrote, we ended at 1:30. Those that came after us were worse. We were not up to 1,000 candidates. but we're talking today about 5,321. There were 2 exams. Yes, the entrance exams into pupillage and the end of stage exams.
To avoid examination fraud, the bar opted for on-the-spot setting of questions for both examinations. Bar President Barrister Mba Eric Mba says the translation into English, French and Braille for visually impaired candidates were time-consuming.
We had 2 candidates who were visually impaired. When we did all the questions, everything was said, we had to send their own for the Braille. There was one candidate who uses Braille, and there was one who had a note taker. We had somebody to go there to read out the question to this candidate. Those are all the things that we had to do.
These were compounded by logistical flaws. Poor electrification of one of the writing centers contributed in the delay.
There were some halls in Lycée de Clerc that did not have bulbs. Some did not have provision for bulbs. We could not start in Yaoundé 1 and Enam, whereas Lycée de Clerc was not ready. So at that material moment, they had to look for electricians. We bought bulbs to make sure that everything was put in place.
To solve these issues, the bar is now advocating for a law school in Cameroon.
It is time overdue for Cameroon to have a law school.
And now we talk politics. Calls continue to rain for Cameroonians to register massively on electoral registers for next year's election. Who can register on the electoral list? Where and with what documents can you register? Babula Jonathan read through the electoral code, and he also spoke with the Little Regional Delegate of Elections Cameroon, and he tells us more in the report that comes up next.
It is a civic duty. It is a responsibility for all Cameroonians of voting age to take part in the electoral process of the country, and this begins with registration on the electoral list.
La loi électorale, notamment à l'article 45.
Article 45 of the Electoral Code states that every person of Cameroonian nationality of either sex who has reached the age of 20 is registered on an electoral register and is free from all cases of disqualification provided for by law, shall be entitled to be a voter. However, the Littoral Regional Delegate of Elections Cameroon, ELECAM, Serge Boudon-Otia, says that
les machines de l'ELECAM sont paramétrées de telle sorte qu'on puisse inscrire
the computers of ELECAM are configured to register those who will be 20 in the course of the electoral year. But if such persons are not 20 before or on election day, they will not be able to vote.
Tous ceux qui n'auront pas atteint 20 ans le jour du scrutin ne pourront pas voter. La loi électorale dit que
the law permits potential voters to register only in their areas of residence.
Vous devez avoir votre domicile dans cette commune, vous devez y résider.
Registration can be done with the national identity card or the receipt. In case someone moves out of his initial area of residence where he or she registered, he can ask for a transfer to his or her present location.
Ce sont les agents de l'ELECAM qui inscrivent.
Registration is carried out solely by ELECAM agents with the support of political parties.
Now let's take you out of Cameroon. The president of Senegal was granted his first official visit to the Mouride and Tijan leaders 2 weeks after he was elected president. Bassirou Diomaye Faye visited the leaders of the country's 2 major brotherhoods, Mouride and Tijan. The roundup of our foreign page with Cedric Chakotio.
In Senegal, 2 weeks after his election, Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye visited last Monday, 15th of April, the leaders of the country's 2 major brotherhoods, Mouride and Tijan. An essential visit because all through Senegal is a secular state. Religious leaders can find themselves at the heart of decisions, particularly in the event of political tension. In Senegal, it is almost a traditional event, even a political rule. But the presidency makes it clear this double visit in the same day was quite simply the first official outing of Bassirou Diomaye Faye since his election. The 2 meetings of the head of state, first in Touba, capital of Mouride, with the Caliph General Serene Moutaka Bassirou Baké, then to Tivani with Serene Babakar Sai Moussou, the general caliph of the Tidians. The president also indicated that he discussed the developments and the difficulties encountered in these two cities. Elsewhere in the United States, the historic horse money trial of Donald Trump got underway last Monday with the arduous process of selecting a jury to hear the case charging the former president with falsifying business records in order to stifle stories about his sex life.
We got a real problem with this judge. We have a real problem with a lot of things having to do with this trial, including the DA, because you go right outside and people are being mugged and killed all day long, and he's sitting here all day with 10 or 12 prosecutors over nothing.
After a norm-shattering presidency shadowed by years of investigations, the trial amounts to a courtroom reckoning for Trump, who faces 4 indictments charging him with crimes ranging to plotting to overturn an election. It should be noted that the first criminal trial of any former U.S. president began as Trump vied to reclaim the White House, creating a remarkable split-screen spectacle of the presumptive Republican nominee spending his days as a criminal defendant while simultaneously campaigning for office.
And now let's talk sports. Victoria United and Young Sports Academy are favorites to win the title of the Elite One League for the 2023-2024 football season ahead of the last playing days for the playoffs up of the Elite One League this Thursday. As sportsman's Manjikan Gabriel looks at the chances for either Victoria United, Young Sports Academy, Cotton Sport of Garwa and Stade Rennais of Melon of becoming the champions in this report.
Anglo-Saxon club is expected to be crowned as champions for the Elite One Championship this football season before the last day of the playoffs up this Thursday. Victoria United or Young Sports Academy of Bamenda stand favourites, but Cotton Sport of Gadwa and Stade Rennais of Melon alongside Gazelle FC of Gadwa all have slim chances of getting the crown. For Victoria United to be crowned as champions after Thursday's last playing day, the boys of Bob Didi must win or draw against Stade Rennais of Melon, while hoping that Young Sport Academy is either defeated or draw against Colomb of Janelobo. Opopo can also be crowned champions in the case where they are being beaten in their game against Stade Rennais, and the same fate goes for Young Sport Academy of Bamenda alongside Cotton Sport of Gadwa. If Young Sport Academy of Bamenda dreams of the title, they have to beat Colomb of Janelobo, while hoping that Stade Rennais will defeat Victoria United. A win for Young Sports Academy with a 3-goal margin against a draw for Opopo will also give the Bamenda boys the title. The boys of Coach Blaise Ndikum must, however, not dream of a draw or a defeat. Defending champions Cotton Sport of Gadwa still have a chance to clinch the title, but that can be realized if they beat Dynamo of Douala with a 2-goal margin, while hoping that Victoria United and Young Sport Academy will get defeats in their games. Another club on the title race is Stade Rennais of Melon. The club from Melon will need to thrash Victoria United at least with a 4-goal margin, while praying to the gods of football that they won't favour either Young Sports or Cotton Sport of Gadwa in the other match. In that situation, Stade Rennais will be crowned as champions. The title is hanging between Southwest and Northwest region, as Victoria United of Limbe and Young Sport Academy are better placed to pick up the title.
Thanks, Matt, for that sports piece. It brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Let's move over to talking points in a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Mark Anthony Akubom. He is a civil society actor. Thank you so much, Mark Anthony, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. We are talking about the security challenges in the Northwest and Southwest regions, especially in the Northwest this time around, with the attack which took place in Kambe in the Njap village. Thank you again for accepting to be our guest. Yesterday, like I mentioned, we got reports of alleged separatist attacks in Njap, a village not far away from Kambe. In Kambe, which has been calm since the crisis began. That is somehow. Can this be a sign that peace returning to the Northwest and Southwest, which we have been getting from some administrative authorities, is just a farce?
Good evening to you. Thank you for the question, and Nabila. I want to say that in relation to your question, I can't objectively say that the idea of the return of peace to the northwest and southwest region is a farce. Why wouldn't I say so? I remember in the late 2017, 2020, 2018, 2019, 2020, there was no possibility for you to make access to the hinterlands or to the entire northwest region. It was practically difficult to access the area, but right now there is a kind of accessibility. There is relative calm, but it doesn't also mean that everything is fine. You see, there is still insecurity all over the northwest and the southwest region, considering the fact that we still have young guys out there with arms willing to give their die for what they believe in. And so you can't claim that there is peace with such people outside there. What just happened in Jap is an announcement to most of us that it is not yet over and that peace has not returned as some are claiming. So it is not a fast, but it also does not mean there is peace. So there is need for the government to do something to deal with the issue so that peace can return. Since we are already talking about elections in 2025, people need to have the access to their polls to vote.
Like I mentioned in the first question, we know that Canberra has been spared somehow from violence, but recently it seems to have taken center stage in the drama of violence. We know what happened, that was on the 11th of February, and the attack now in Jap, in which about 12 motorbikes were burnt down by separatist fighters. Now, can it be that the authorities pipe down somehow on reinforcing security in the Ndunga Monsoon Division while believing some government ministers who always claim all is under control?
I want to say yes and a no at the same time. Yes, I think the government in one way or the other thinks that there is no problem. In fact, the peace has returned. They have won the war and there is relative calm and everything has returned to normalcy, as had been professed by some ministers and some CBDM elites from the northwest region as well as from the southwest region. You see, Canberra has been an area where there have been little or no violence as compared to other areas in the northwest region and as well as the southwest region. But recently, if you notice, it seems as if all attention is being pulled towards Canberra. We might want to say that the government, one way or the other, might have relaxed. And at the same time, we also want to say might be those boys have decided to say, okay, since this is where there was calmness, let's go there so that we can create havoc. As well as we could also want to say that, why not think, because this is a hypothesis, could it also be that the military do not actually want to let go of the issue? They don't want the crisis to stop because they are actually benefiting from the crisis right now. And so if it stops, they will not benefit. So they have to somehow create havoc in some places in order to use the name of Amber or separatists, as they call it, to provoke the situation. But that's just a hypothesis. Or is it like the separatists have decided to reinforce their agitation towards Canberra based on the fact that Canberra had been relatively calm for the past years? Those are questions that needs to be answered, and I am not the one to answer those questions. But I think in relation to your question, the government in one way or the other have actually relaxed the state of security in Canberra based on the information received from some ministers as well as CPDM elites in that area.
So Anthony, we know that peace is priceless and should be sought for with every ounce of energy. Can those who have had the courage to stay on ground zero, plus those who have escaped dream of life coming back to normal like it was some 10 years back, what about war trauma on the young people?
I want to believe that in relation to the crisis in the northwest and the southwest region of Cameroon, even though we all agree that peace is priceless, it is practically totally impossible to be without some crisis. But when crises are perpetuating, that's where it affects the people more. And right now we have people who have, since the beginning of this crisis in 2016, stayed put in the northwest and the southwest region. They didn't move. Those are people, we should say, courage to them. They have been very courageous. Some of us, we were displaced. The question is there hope that one day there will be complete return of peace? Yes. I want to use Rwanda as a nation that in 1994, actually there was a breakout of violence that resulted to almost a genocide in that nation. But today it is relatively very peaceful and one of the most developing countries in Africa. The question is, how did they gain that? Secondly, is there a possibility for the trauma that people have encountered during this period of time to perpetuate? Yes, there will always be trauma. There will always be trauma. After violence, trauma, the state of the mind of the people is traumatized. And people can stay like that for long. I mean, relatively long period of time. But it will be a choice on how to handle the crisis, because if the crisis is handled rightly, the traumatic situation will be dealt with, and the peace that we are relatively urging for, wanting by all our means, dreaming for, will surely return. So it is the choice of the government and the parties involved in the crisis to make sure that it is settled. For example, when I'm talking of the parties involved, the separatists and the government of Cameroon needs to sit down to settle the problem. That is how problems are settled. We need a third party who could be an African president from any nation, or one of the African Union representatives can step in to solve the problem. So there is need for a sit down to deal with the problem once and for all.
Thank you, Prof. This last question before we go. Schools just resumed for the last time of the academic year, but classes resume normally in the northwest and the southwest regions. That was yesterday, not Monday, because of the ghost town. Monday was a ghost town day. Now, have the authorities finally succumbed somehow to the rules imposed by separatist fighters in the English-speaking regions of Cameroon? Can we say so?
Thank you again, Anne Nabila. I want to say that we can objectively conclude that the government, in one way or the other, has actually succumbed to the laws made by the separatists in relation to the Monday ghost towns. The truth is, in one way or the other, the government should be protecting the citizens, considering the fact that if citizens go out to function and do things normally on Mondays, it is their lives that is at risk. It is not the government that will be risking. It will be the citizens. And every right-thinking leader or government should think on how to protect the people. So in one way or the other, they should allow the people to not violate the separatists and be punished. If they want that, the citizens should be protected. They should deal with the crisis, allow free access so that Monday can be free. That is why when it comes to school reopening, in the northwest and the southwest, schools actually started but on Tuesday, not on Monday. Monday, which was supposed to be the day that schools resumed all over the territory, in the northwest and as well as in the southwest in some areas, schools resumed, but on Tuesday. That is not something that we should be proud about, but I think that the government has a job to do, and that job is to secure the people, protect the lives of the people, and they can use any means possible to do that. They should do it. So we need the crisis to come to an end so that there can be normalcy, the return of normalcy. People can go back to their normal lives so that at the end of the day, people can live normally. So I will come back to say we have been proposing to the government on several occasions on how to deal with this issue. So if they have not been able to deal with it, then it means they have decided to give a deaf ear to all the counsel and advice coming through various TV channels and personal advice given to them on different ways. So, but I think that it is the responsibility of the government to maintain peace and order, and that should be done by every means possible.
Hopefully peace and stability returns to the northwest and the southwest region someday. Viewers, thank you so much for being with us, and Professor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. Viewers, thank you again for the trust and confidence. Don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe comes up at 7 p.m. That would be in about 30 minutes, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.